Welcome to Love and Hustle. We share unfiltered stories of marriage, entrepreneurship, and scaling to seven figures without losing sight of what matters most.
The raw, the real, the sacrifices, and the lessons learned the hard way.
This is Love and Hustle. Back to Love and Hustle. I'm Brittany, and this is the podcast where couples, companies, and chaos collide. We have a guest today. Kat. Kat is with us. Kat has been my dear friend for many years now. She is a photographer. Kat, I'm just going to let you introduce yourself.
Oh, okay. Hi, everyone. I am Kat DeLine. I am a wedding photographer, and I've taken Brittany's LTL. We've been friends for a few years, and I'm excited to chat with her today.
Well, I am so excited to have you. Full disclaimer, there might be cursing.
Yes, I like to call myself Auntie Kat is here, so it's time for the earbuds to go in your ear, so your little ones are safe, okay?
Yeah. And this is going to be a good episode, so you're definitely going to want to listen. If you don't have AirPods and you want to come back to listen, definitely bookmark this episode. It's going to be a good one. And we have so much to talk about. So I've been thinking lately about influence, and I know, especially with how you and I met and just sort of we met through another mastermind, and really just thinking about influence, and not in the short term, but more in like the long term, the bigger picture. Not just the impact of a post or the spike of a podcast episode, but really like the legacy of your voice and how that builds over the course of years. And, you know, when you teach, when you lead, when people trust you with their decisions, their investments, their results, you're not just shaping outcomes, you're shaping people's confidence, you're shaping culture, you're shaping what people believe is possible through you. And this is something you and I know have like talked about so much over the years. I feel like it has just been like this sort of like story that gets intertwined through everything that we do. And I'm so excited to do this episode. But
yeah, I love this topic. This is one of my favorite to talk about with women, and especially women in business. Like obviously that's what I am, but this is one of my favorite topics to talk about, how legacy, how your influence works in between everything that you're doing on a regular basis.
Yeah. And the thing I think that's so important to realize is that like what we are going to be talking about on today's episode, these are the things that like don't disappear when you deliver a gallery, or you receive that paid invoice, or you hit post to social media, or you end the podcast episode. These are the things that we're going to be talking about that literally live and breathe and actually become the culture of what people know you as an individual and as a business. And so I am so excited to jump in. Well, first, like let's talk a little bit about culture and like the like influence, and how the influence of your impact builds the culture of how people know your business.
Yeah, I had this crazy thought a couple of years ago. I started building a team, so I never thought about my business having like a company culture, and then all of a sudden I had one, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's here. And it kind of like, for me, for that moment, it kind of came out of nowhere, but it really wasn't. It was something that I was literally stacking from the day that I started my business. From the day that I decided I wanted to do this, I've been stacking it. I just so happened to be able to put a label on it a couple of years ago. But your culture of yourself, of your business, how you conduct things, like that's something I maybe didn't realize it, and maybe others don't, but you're really stacking it day after day, whether that's, in your regular life, in your business, however it is that you're conducting yourself. You're building a culture. And when you step into my business or have any contact with my business, like, oh, that's Kat's culture. Like, I very much so have an essence and a vibe to what I do, both in my personal life and especially my business, that people gravitate towards. But that culture is something, Brittany, this, you're building it every day with what you do, what you say, how you conduct yourself, because your business, as it grows, you're going to see one day you'll have the aha moment to be like, oh, I do have a company culture. There is a vibe to this business that I've grown. Yeah. And I think you and I have figured out a way to have a vibe that's unique. It's completely us. We are very confident in it. We didn't start there, but we're here now. And I think we're both pretty good examples of how you can be a little bit unique, because our businesses, you and I's, we're not the same.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing in all of this is that like the community will mirror what you lead with. So like if you lead a business that brings people into it through fear, you will lead with fear. And if you bring people into your business through shameful tactics or negative type marketing, that is what you will breed into your community, into your culture.
Yeah.
And when you lead with confidence, you will build a community around you, the people who are buying from you, the people who work for you, in and around you with confidence. And the same even with like respect, right? Like how you treat your clients and how they treat you back, how you treat your employees and how they treat them back. It's this culture and this like replication through the layers of everything that you do. And so I think, you know, the influence, the impact really shapes the identity that we create within our business. And you know, I really think that over time, your words, what you create, like what you put out there, starts to become this like internal voice of what people think about you, what people say about you, whether they say it out loud or not.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like what people say is like the words that you say to yourself matter. Like your business is an extension of who you are. I feel like this is definitely the case as photographers, because I don't know about you, but I feel like I've given a chunk of myself when the gallery goes out, when you've taken the time to photograph it, get to know them, get those, you know, it just feels like a part of you. So I feel as a photographer, it's kind of an extension of who you are. So what you're putting out there, the energy you're putting out, the words, the vibe, how you communicate, how you conduct yourself, how you show up to things, like every inch of what you do and every action of what you do inside your business, you can see it. Like we're all in glass houses. It's not like you can sit there and not see it. That's the thing about like it's 2026. You can see inside people's glass houses. You can tell what their vibe is. You can tell what kind of energy they're bringing to the plate. We're all very not completely educated, but we're educated about how we feel about things and how people make us feel. And as you put yourself out in your business, that's people are also going to feel it. So if it's the same, you know, like I said, if you say the right things to yourself, you're being positive to yourself, you're going to feel better. If you're talking really bad to yourself, you're going to feel bad. It's like the same thing in your business. If, like you said, if you're going to lead with fear and you're going to say, you got to buy this, you got to buy it right now, you're going to have panicked buyers. If you are walking someone through a process very confidently and just talking in a way that's like, well, this is what this is how this goes, this is what this costs, and you're giving them something that you're giving them with confidence and some guidance, you're going to have someone that feels guided, feels comfortable. They're not going to be panicky. They're going to feel good about where they're sitting. And how that's done is different for everybody. But those two different paths are very different, and the outcome is very different. And it all stems with what you're putting out.
Yeah. And I think more than anything, like that, like internal components of you and realizing that who you are at your core and the energy that you create in and around what you do is what you are going to attract. And something that I think about, especially as an educator, in when I'm impacting like my role in other businesses, and you and I got to be students together, so we knew like the influence that an educator has on someone's business.
Yeah.
And the weight of that influence is so important. It's so important because over time, your words and your actions, okay, of how you develop your business, how you develop, like for me as an educator, how I bring up these other photographers in their business becomes their internal voice. Those are the things that they hear as they're starting to build. And so for me, a huge thing is that I really rooted my coaching program in not just a strategy, not just a theory, not just a pricing model, but in a value system of who people are at their internal core. Okay. And so it feels effortless when the right people come into the program, it feels effortless because like, I know there was somebody who's taken 2 or 3 other coaching programs and she's like, Brittany, I've been selling products for years. And for the first time ever in my business, it feels effortless. It feels like this is what I was meant to do. And it's that like little internal voice inside of them that's like, this is me. This is who I am. This is the culture that I want to create. And it's like people just flock to it.
And energy attracts energy. And sometimes I will say this, you'll also, because we've taken many educators, you'll end up in a situation where maybe you thought the energy was vibing here. And maybe you're drawn to this energy because you need to learn that you need to be repelled away from it. So also know that too. Like everybody's not perfect. We're all going to, maybe take education that isn't perfect for us and vice versa. You'll find the right one. But that energy and the reason in your program, you feel like it is effortless to teach this because you know it, like the back of your hand, it's successful. You've seen it implemented in, I don't have numbers, but like in a lot of different scenarios. And you've improved a lot of, businesses with what you've taught. And that's easy and effortless to you because that energy is bringing forth energy that's matching it, that you attract what you need to have. But just also know that you can also come close to an energy that you're supposed to be repelled from, but you have to learn, maybe this energy is supposed to tell you, cat's getting a little woo-woo, that energy is probably telling you that like, hey, this is how you're not doing things. This is how you don't want to do things. Because we've had education where we learned what we don't want to be. And that sometimes is even more of a valuable lesson than
100%.
getting, oh, this is A, B, and C, how to do it. Oh, that was easy. Sometimes you have to learn what you don't want in your business because that's also part of building your culture. It's part of building your legacy. Sometimes it's easier, when maybe you're going to do something in your business like a rebrand and you're like, well, I can't tell you what I want, but I can tell you what I don't want. And that you need to have that negative part of it, which is you need to experience either education or something within what you're building that you realize, oh, I don't want that. Because it's also good to know the difference between, you don't have to just do everything. Everything's a yes. Sometimes there needs to be a no in there too, to teach you.
Yeah. And I think so often people will say, I feel like I need to do this because I feel like I need to learn this because what that person's energy is, I lack. I lack that. And so they feel like they should go in a direction of something and they should create this or replicate this energy because they don't necessarily have that. But then what ends up happening is it's not really who they ever were or who they are intended to be. And you think, oh, well, like maybe I need to be more of this. Maybe if I am more of this, then I'll be more successful. When really in reality, it's like, no, you can be the person you're intended to be when you build your business in the values that align. And it's like
who you are is exactly who you're supposed to be. You're not supposed to be somebody else. You're not supposed to be something else. You're not supposed to be, you're going to grow in your life, but you're not supposed to be what other people are. You're supposed to be exactly who, if I could tell this to a woman every single day, where you are is exactly where you're supposed to be, and who you are is exactly who you're supposed to be. And you just need to maybe grow into who you are and get the confidence just to be your unique self.
Yeah, 100%. I think too, when you step back and you think about a sustainable business, building a legacy, building this culture, building something that is not who you are at your core is not going to be sustainable.
It's hard. In my brain, it's hard. When I first started my business, I was told to be something completely different. And I just didn't get it. So from the beginning, I'm like, I don't get that. Why couldn't I just be like who I am? But I agree with you. And sometimes, I think sometimes you have to just go with who you are in the core, because I always say to people, like, I'm the same person at happy hour as I am in my business. I'm probably just more of a homebody when I'm not an extrovert in my job. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear him?
I feel like we should let him in. Just let him be in the podcast. I saw this guy on Instagram. He said, sustainable businesses aren't built on attention or temporary tactics. Sustainable businesses are built on your value system.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I agree.
And it like made me pause so deeply because as I step back and I think about like when I first started the full service process that I have in my business that I now teach photographers, is I just was like, I have this call to serve people. I didn't know why. I just remember having this very profound moment in my career where I was just like, I'm going to go all in on like who I believe I am meant to be and how I am meant to serve. And when I went all in on that, what like flooded me was people who wanted that, people who felt aligned with that, people who they themselves had service hearted, like they themselves were service hearted people. And so I look at the business I have and I remember, do you remember when we were in the mastermind together and we had to develop our why? And we had to write our why. Yes.
Yeah, I
And
think you made me cry with yours.
yeah. And so my why is to call service hearted women into action to be more for themselves so that they can be the most for the people they love. And while I step back and I think about that, I think about the photography clients and I look at the women I serve and they're nurses, doctors, teachers, attorneys. They are women who are serving others. And then I look at the people that I get to coach and how they have these deep rooted hearts to like create these experiences and for a variety of reasons, but at the core of who they are, they feel called to be more. And then ultimately, like that comes back to you because the more you get to be aligned with who you are, the more this legacy is built, the more this culture is built around who you are, the more it comes back to you. And then you get to be for the people you care about. And so I think it's so true that like sustainable businesses are not built on a strategy or a tactic. It's built on your values. And you can go learn something that'll work right now, but it's going to wear you down quick if it's not who you are at your core.
And you can feel it. Like if you're sitting here and you're like, oh, I don't know what that is. You haven't found it yet. You got to search within here. Because the moment that I started being who I am in my business, like Brittany, I feel like I clicked a Lego piece like into place. I was like, this feels good. And like now I walk into meetings, I walk into rooms. When I walk into a room, I'm perfectly confident. I'm perfectly fine. I know that I affect that room in a positive manner. I know when I walk up and talk to women, whether it's in my industry, whether it's at a photography shoot, whether I'm talking to other photographers, like who that is, I am going to positively affect them with what I'm talking to them about because that's my company culture. That's what I do. And once you feel it and you know it, it's going to click into place. And it may not be what mine is, and it's not what yours is. Everybody's a little bit individual when it comes to finding what works for you. And you're going to take little pieces in education that you're going to take over time because we're both pro education because it's a smart way to build your business, right? You don't know everything. But as you learn things, you're going to take little nuggets as you move forward. But the biggest thing I can tell you is like stay true to whatever your flag is and just let that freak flag fly. Like just put that bad bitch up there and let her just fucking go, right? Because be that person, be so that person that you repel what you don't want. And the moment you start repelling it, I feel like you're going to see what you just said, Brittany. You're going to see that what you're putting out, it's going to start doing this. It's going to start coming in your direction. And that's when you're going to feel that you have a culture, that you have an essence about you as you move through life. And that is what legacy is built on. Like that is what legacy is built on. Someday when I'm weird and old and wrinkly and someone's going to be like, oh, Kat used to do that. They're going to describe how they felt. They're going to describe what it's going to be right on brand. Everything is, I guess, on brand because who I am as a person is what's reflected in my business through and through. Like I don't show up to weddings in all black. I'm showing up in a colorful suit and you realize that that's my personality and it fits and nobody's got issues. Yeah. Be exactly who you're going to be. Let that thing fly.
I was watching on YouTube or like seeing Kat, she's letting her flag fly. No, but like it's that saying. It's like people will not remember what you said or what you did. They will remember how you made them feel.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And you can empower the crap out of people when the way you made them feel felt aligned. And you can destabilize someone so quickly, which I think is what you and I experienced together. We
Hmm.
actually experienced a massive destabilization of an amazing group of people
Yeah.
through the repelling of this energy. And it was
Yes.
wild because we were in this situation and we're like, how did we get here? Like, I think that was the biggest thing that you and I came to, and we were talking in these groups, and we're all like, we're all six-figure business owners, and we don't know how we got in a room with the wrong energy. Like we were just
Yeah.
like, and I think too, like I think back now on like my like ability to like instinctually feel how someone is making me feel in the moment. Do I feel safe?
Yes.
Do I feel heard? Do I feel valued? Do I feel respected? And I think back on before you and I met and leading into that, and I think, well, shit, I did not listen to myself. I
Yeah.
didn't listen to that. I didn't
You
listen to that
know.
internal voice.
You know, like the little thing inside here that is a regulator of all the things of your like your emotion. It knows. Sometimes we just don't listen to it. Granted, again, I also think that that experience, you know, I'm an optimist. That experience brought us into, you know, a situation that we needed. We had to repel it, and honestly, great group of women that we got to meet and be around and have that energy. But again, like I think back to like I knew it, but I didn't listen to it. And I
I
think
don't know
the
if I knew it. I don't think I had the wisdom to know it yet.
I knew it. I think I knew it pretty quick, and then I was just like, "No, this is fine. This is what it's. I'm supposed to feel uncomfortable." So I want to talk about this too. There is a difference between being made to feel uncomfortable and pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. And when you
1000%.
go out of a comfort zone, Brittany, the biggest moments in my life, in my business, have happened because I'm outside of my comfort zone. But I am not being made to feel uncomfortable. And
Very different
so
thing.
that's probably what I realized. I thought at first it was like, oh, I'm just supposed to feel this way because I'm pushing out of a comfort zone. I'm making a big leap. This is a big investment. I'm doing these things. I'm taking my business to the next level. And then quickly after realize, no, I'm actually being made to feel uncomfortable. I'm
Yeah.
good in outside my comfort zone scenarios. I thrive in them. I grow and I know what that feels like. But in that moment, I mistook it the wrong way.
Yeah. No, and I think you're so right because um I do think I actually did this like it was a 5 day workshop where the coach came on and she really specializes in sales and she talked about being uncomfortable and how when you feel the most uncomfortable, you are usually right on the edge of a massive transformation.
Yeah. Yeah. I
But there's a
agree.
difference between being uncomfortable because you chose to put yourself in a situation to make yourself grow, right? To
Hmm.
push yourself to the next level
Yep.
versus being made to feel uncomfortable through somebody's actions, through somebody's words. You want somebody to inspire you, to call you, to bring you into that layer of uncomfortableness
Yeah.
because you chose to be there, not because they forced you to be there.
Yeah. And the way they're making you feel doesn't make you have that discomfort, but you're uncomfortable because you haven't been there before.
Yep.
And you're learning, and it's okay to wobble. Everybody should have Bambi moments quite often. Honestly, I think that as entrepreneurs, that's a part of growth, is feeling
Yeah.
like a little shaky to
Yeah.
be like, oh shit, what am I doing? I'm going to be the one to say it. We're all Bambi on a regular
Yeah.
basis. Like that
Yeah.
means you're growing. I have failed so many times, but I just fail forward, and you figure it out, and you're shaky, and you're trying all these different things. Like that, being uncomfortable in that sense, that's what you should be doing as an entrepreneur. And if you're taking education that makes you feel uncomfortable because you've never been there, that's right. What's not is being made to feel uncomfortable. And your body knows. You have to listen. I mean, there's also signs that you can like look for. And I don't know if you want to talk about this, but I'm a big advocate ever since our situation is how to look for things that are just simple, to do like a double check to see like, am I feeling uncomfortable because I'm about to grow? Or am I going to be learning from someone, you know, just to double check if they're, you know, because people can say things. people can say a lot of things, but also looking at making sure that things that are, you know, align is also important in my brain.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so just going back to like speaking from the perspective of being business owners is like, what kind of legacy do you want to leave for your business? Like, what, when people think of you, when people speak of you when you're not in the room, when people look back on the business you leave behind, right? Like, what will they feel? What will they think? What will they say? And what does that look like for you? And so for me, like, I know that I just have this deep heart of service. It's been rooted in me since my existence. I think back on my childhood. I volunteered, I went on mission trips. I eventually became a nurse. I took personality tests that confirmed to me that I was, because when I was in college, I was like, I don't know what I want to be. And then I took a personality test and it was like, be anything of service to anyone. You could be a nurse, you could be a doctor, you could be a teacher, you could be like anything. And that was really overwhelming because I was like,
I've
there's a
never
lot
taken one. Maybe I should.
yeah. And so, but I look back and I think I'm like really proud of the business that I've built. I look back, I like look at all the galleries that I've installed, like all the moms who had their memories. Like, you know, the last 2 days I've done installations, which I haven't done in years. And to be able to look at the impact that those gallery walls will have on those kids, you know, and it's not for me, it's not about a transaction. It's not about having the biggest sale. It's not about making the most money. It's about feeling fulfillment in my business, feeling fulfillment in my work, and looking back and being like, I'm proud of that legacy.
Yeah.
Like,
one of my favorite things to tell people, like when you become an entrepreneur, it's a lot of work. There's a lot that goes along with this. There's a lot of shit. There's a lot of things, a lot of hard stuff. But when you get to the point where you look back, like you just said, you look back and you look on what you've done. And for me, it's like, that's a hell yeah, I did that. Like I will die on that hill because I did that and I'm proud of it. And I feel deep in my bones that like what I'm doing matters. Like I'm put on this earth to make women realize they can do far more. And they are far more than what they've ever believed they could. I am here to impact women and motivate women to feel like their best selves. Like when I'm one-on-one with someone, I use using women as an example, but like if I'm one-on-one with a woman, I can get you to probably quit your job and go for your dream. Okay. Because that's what I'm here for. I'm here to motivate you. I'm here to show you, I'm here to give you confidence that who you are and what you're doing is exactly where you're supposed to be. And when I do that every week. Every week, by the time I get to Friday and I have that cocktail in my hand and I'm like, hell yeah, I did that this week. When I lay my sweet little baby head on the pillow, I know at the end of the day, like I did as much as I could to make an impact on other people. Because I know when people come in contact with me, that's what happens. I'm not saying I changed lives. I'm not like, I don't know, that type of person, but I'm someone
well,
that,
you do, but
I make an impact on people and I want it to be
yeah.
a positive one. Because when I'm old and wrinkly and someone's weird auntie, like I want to be able to sip my spiked tea and know that like I think I did pretty okay and I want to be happy with what I did.
Yeah.
And if I do things that don't align with who I am, I'm going to feel that difference. It's not going to feel right. I'm not going to be as proud. And it's all on me to get myself to that spiked tea moment as an old lady and do it right.
Yeah.
Because your legacy, you get to look back on it then, but your legacy it's literally every single day it's stacking. It's like micro things that are stacking up. You can't just be like, 98 and be like, oh, for the next 2 years, I'm going to be a nice person. No, well, the 98 other years also count too.
Yeah. I know. And I like think about them like, all the frames, all the albums, all the like the impact, and I think to myself, if you just stacked all that up in like one room and you like put all those people in one room to like talk about what it created for them, like, are you proud of that? Like that.
I'd probably sit in the corner and sob. That's what I'm going to do.
No, yeah, I kind of like that. I just then I was like, oh, Brittany, don't cry. Cause like I'm thinking about all the little kids and, looking up at themselves, over the last decade, looking at photos of themselves and seeing these kids grow up, and that for me, like, I'm really proud of that,
Yeah.
and so I'm really proud of that.
As you fucking should be. As you should be.
Yeah. And just like saying to yourself, like, when you look in the mirror and you look at the business that you're building, like, are you proud? Does it feel aligned? Are the places that you are investing to grow that business, the people that you're investing with, the tables that you are sitting at, are those people, do they represent businesses? Do they represent values that you feel aligned with? And I know for me, like, there have been certain times over the years and in photography circles where, like, I've had to leave the table. I love the people that are at it. I think that they're incredible. But when I sit here and I listen to people who are only motivated for a transaction, are only motivated for a sale, are only motivated for self-fulfillment, I'm over here like being like, well, that's great. Like, don't get me wrong. I'd love some money. I'd love to live comfortably. But like, it's not what it's about for me. And like, absolutely, there is a table for people who care about money, who want to get the best sales strategy, who want to have the best tactic to get the most money, because that's how they feel fulfilled. When they leave this earth, they're like, hey, I left $1 million for my kids. Or, hey, maybe I didn't leave any money and I spent every goddamn dollar that I had left, that was the legacy I left. You can be at that table. Sure. Go be at that table. But I know, like, for me, I've left those circles because I've been like, this isn't aligned. Like, this isn't who I am. This isn't what I actually care about at the end of the day. And I think so much of our industry is like money, 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 like 10K weddings, whatever, 4-figure portrait clients, like whatever. Like, there's just these vanity metrics. And it's like, when can we stop making it about how much money and how much vanity metrics of like what makes us feel really good? And when can we start to actually be like, I actually feel fulfilled in my business, and that has fucking value. Like,
and that's enough. Like,
and I'm proud of myself. Like, and it's
enough.
not. And so it was really interesting because at Focus and Flourish, I actually went back and I listened to the recording from my videographer. And there was a very profound question that was asked by a girl who hadn't been in business for very long. And she goes, I'm just really curious, as somebody who hasn't been in this industry for very long, and looking at all of you on this stage who have been for a while, and many of you have reached levels of success I can only dream of, that I may never have. She's like, I'm just curious, when is enough enough?
Ugh.
And
way to have such a good vision so early
on. My God. I was like, to be in business.
I want to hug her. Can I hug her?
No. Yeah. To be in business for 2 years and to be able to think so so not surface level. Cause I feel like when you're really young in your business, you're so surface level, you just can't even like grasp the depths of like the importance of these things.
Yeah. And
I found it so interesting because there were very different answers across the 5 of us that were on stage. And for somebody, she was like, for me, like she was saying, enough is enough when I have the space and the capacity to provide for my family in the way that I've like wanted, right? Like, to be present, and like she gave very specific examples of things that are important to her right now, and to financially be able to provide these things for her kids. And like, for me, I think it's been such a journey because we have reached a figure that we never dreamed of, that we never really even wanted per se, right? But now, like, Zach and I have like looked at each other and we're like, what are we doing this for? Like,
you got to go back to your why. You got to go back to your center.
And it's like, for us, like, it is the fulfillment of the work. It is the happiness, yes, of what it creates. And so for me, so much now, what's really interesting too, is that like for us, it hasn't really been about growing revenue. It hasn't really been about like, how can we make more money like grow the volume, grow this, like it's not in numbers. It's actually time. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
what is going to give us the time to build the legacy for our children, to
Yeah.
create. And so I think so often our industry just gets caught up in these numbers and this like sell the thing, do the thing, make the
Mm-hmm.
money, hit this metric, hit this metric, hit this metric. And it's like, yeah, but what for? If you're doing all of that in the name of having a miserable business, then what legacy and what are you leaving?
I would love to tell more people that you can leave the table. But here's the thing, as an entrepreneur, there's no rules in marketing. There's no rules. There's nothing's right or wrong. You just happen to, see someone being successful in that manner. You're like, okay, maybe I want to try that. There's no right or wrong because each individual person is a little bit different. Just because someone tells you that it's not the way they would do it and they're saying it's wrong doesn't actually mean that it is. Because like I said, in being an entrepreneur, there's no actual right or wrong way to do it. There's no rule book. There's no actual technical rule book for being an entrepreneur. It's all of us figuring it out.
Yep. And so like it's interesting because I do not care for oppositional marketing.
Yeah.
Oppositional marketing means I'm going to bring people into my business by showing what's wrong with theirs or
Yes.
or what's wrong with them. So in the case of like in my business, I could create oppositional marketing by saying negative things about digital only photographers, negative things about digital files. I could shame people into the clouds that are filled with photographs.
Mm-hmm.
What I want to do in my business, the legacy, the culture that I want to create is one that inspires people, one that is rooted in results, one that has a track record of creating what it is that I believe in, which is the tangible, which is the opposite of those things. But instead of speaking negatively in and around those things with those aspects of those businesses, and there's nothing wrong with that. There are plenty of people who only want digital files and understand there are plenty of people who have no idea what is on the other side. I will say that. But I don't feel that it's aligned with me and who I am to speak negatively about those things. You're welcome to be that. And there are plenty of clients for those photographers and plenty of photographers for those clients.
Yeah.
Like
there's always enough pie for everybody. Like everybody can get their own slice.
We need people to be different, but I want to bring people into my business. I want to bring people into my coaching, into my circle, because they felt inspired, because they saw results, because they felt aligned to who I am within me, the energy, the culture, all of those things, and ultimately see the legacy that I'm building and say, I love that. I want that.
Yeah. No one's holding you to the table. And if somebody is, that's also an issue. That's that someone making you feel uncomfortable scenario that I chatted about. Like you can leave the table and find your own. And there was a long time where I sat at my own little teeny tiny table and I was perfectly fine with it until I found a group of women that I was like, oh, hey, you guys have tables. This is fun. And I've found a nice little table of ladies now.
I remember there was a situation that happened. It was during COVID, and there was a Facebook group, and the admins of this Facebook group outwardly shamed people in that group. And there was a mass exit. And I remember you're like, I'm
not the social media person. I'm not on Facebook.
But I remember people that were sitting at my table were like, F this, I'm out of here. Like, and then there were people who spoke up and who were like, this is wrong. How dare you shame people? You know, people are out here trying to just live and survive, and you're over here criticizing what they're doing. And it just, in that moment, that set the tone of her culture. That set the tone for her legacy. that was an outward example of her value system, okay, and how she leads. And that leadership, what that was that permeated into everything that she did. There was an underlying tone of that behavior in everything that she did. So when you're sitting at these tables and you feel something, you're like, that kind of felt ick, like that kind of felt off. Recognize it. It doesn't mean you got to get up right then and there. It doesn't mean you got to say anything. Shit, you can leave the table and not even tell anybody that you did it.
But at least you took your rose-colored glasses off.
Yes. Yes. And I cannot and I think something too about how you and I met and the circle that we met in. I think that people were wearing like such rose-colored goggles. They were just like starstruck at like the community, that the table that they were sitting at, that they couldn't even see the toxic behaviors that were happening in front of them.
Yes.
And it was like, whoa, wait a second. And like, then it was sort of like one person was like, that felt off. Another person was like, that felt off to me. And oh my God, I'm not alone in this. And then before you knew it, we were all over here being like, how did we get here? How did we get here?
Thought I was sitting down for a while.
Yeah. And so I feel like it's just such an important conversation to have. Like, it's not, it's like who you are at the core of your business. What is the culture what is the culture you're creating for yourself? The culture that's being created in and around you in your business. How are you attracting people into that business? And then how are you being attracted into other businesses equally?
Yeah, something I wanted to touch on with that too is how you are conducting your business, what you're doing in it, how you're kind of building it from the core of who you want to be and what you want that legacy to be. You're going to build it. And you're thinking about all the positive things, like, oh, I want this positive, I get everybody in the room and I want it to be a positive thing. I'm making an impact on the world. Yes, that's always nice when you have those moments. But building a business through your core and leading with how you want to move forward in the world is also going to help when shit hits the fan. Because there's going to be some things that are happening that aren't going to go well. Okay, like I said, I have failed and fallen on my face on a regular basis. I call it failing forward because I've skidded across the pavement a lot. And that's just what you're supposed to do as an entrepreneur, just what it is. But the thing is like when you're leading at the core, when I hit a roadblock, when I have hard things happen, when things go that I don't see coming and they smack me in the face, I might need a day or two to just regroup my shit. But I move forward. And when I go to move forward, I know that it's led with what's right here and how I want to conduct myself in the world and that legacy that I want to build. It's easier to move forward in the really hard times when stuff doesn't go correctly if you know who that core part of you is and how you want to interact in the world. Because it's nice to think about like the easy things like, oh, I want people to feel impacted. I want them to feel like they are empowered to be them best selves when they talk to me. But realistically, like that also comes into effect when things happen in my business that don't go well and how I react to them and what I do, whether it's public or personal, to move past those things. Yep. I think you also need to look at that as like, it's really easy to talk about, the nice things, but when things happen, hard things happen, when shit hits the fan, that standard that you have for yourself is also going to help you move through that. And it's not going to feel like it's the worst thing. It's going to be hard, but it's not going to feel like icky inside. Does that make sense? Like when you move through those negative spaces and those negative parts of your business, it's going to happen. Like you have a customer that might not be happy. Like the way you move through it is also going to be led. If you're leading everything with fear, that's probably going to be trickled right throughout the whole thing. If you're leading with confidence or you're leading with a little bit softer energy with that person from the start, that's what's going to bleed through as you go through these hard processes.
I think the other thing too, like you and I, because we had our table that we were all at together. And I think some of us took our rose-colored glasses off, and then other people kept them on and just placed blame shift. Well,
I mean, Brittany, that's easier to do. It is hard. Yourself in the mirror. Look, when I look at myself in the mirror, I'm in my late 30s. I look at it, I'm like, sis, those bags, they getting bigger, okay?
Yeah.
It's hard to look in the mirror and notice what's changed and notice that you have to look at yourself and realize that you're not perfect in what you're doing. And I think that is if you want to grow in your business, like I just keep going back. The hardest things that I've learned have been the best things that I've learned. That's how you're going to be a successful business owner, because I can tell you right now, if you're not failing as a business owner, you are being too scared at what you're doing. And I'm not saying you have to do things that are like, oh, I'm going to do this and make a whole bunch of money, but maybe it's a tweak you're doing in your business. You should always be trying different things, because that's how you find something that fits you, your legacy, fits your culture. That's how you build something, because you have to keep trying to put the pieces in place until the Lego pieces click in together, and then you feel it.
You know, I think the biggest thing to walk away too is like saying that like it's okay to get up from the table. It's okay to recognize that you maybe didn't make the right investment or you didn't build the business that felt aligned to you. But every single one of those things is going to guide you and create the compass to the direction, the legacy, and the culture you want to build.
And if it's not what you want it to be right now, the beautiful thing is you have a set of sails above you and you can change your direction at any time you need to. Do you think your business would move forward in the way it did if you hadn't aligned it to
No.
your core and how you want to move through the world?
No, because I think the path I just would have felt so much resistance, so much.
It makes you so much more anxious and so much more like, oh my God, I don't want to do. You're scared. You're scared,
Yep.
but not for like, oh, I'm growing scared. You're scared because you don't want to face it, because you know that you're not.
You know that it's not right.
You. It's just not. You gotta feel it in your bones.
When I really started to lead my business from the internal core values of who I was as a person, the more I felt, and don't get me wrong, like I definitely had to make a ton of mindset shifts in that really stuff I had to get through to really, but as I evolved, as I grew. And so being able to step back and realize that like, when your business is being guided in a way that feels so true to you, it's not to say that things aren't going to sting and things aren't going to suck, because they're
going to suck.
They will. They 1,000%.
If it doesn't, you're not doing the entrepreneur thing, right? Like you're doing it too safe. I think there's something to be said too about, we're talking about our core and how we're leading forward. And I think also doing it in a way that fits us. I think there's a shift that either needs to happen or is happening within entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs, where for so long, I feel like felt like we've had to be in the box of being like, you have to do everything systematically. It has to be done. I call it a masculine energy is what you kind of have to move forward with. But I feel like more women need to know that leading from the core of who you are, like you're talking about your service-driven heart, like that's a feminine energy, and you're leading a very highly successful business with that feminine energy to come to people. I feel like as women, we've been told for so long that if you're going to, because it started in like the, 70s, 80s, is that men were the people that did the business and they knew how to handle it and they did it very directly. Us as women, we bring this nurturing sense to running a business. And I feel like that it just weaves itself in your legacy, because we're doing it different. We're not doing it so harsh and so blunt. You and I are creating businesses that I do feel like have that feminine nurturing edge to it, where when people come into my business, like they are affected, they are changed. And I'm doing that in a little bit more of a softer energy. I'm leading from my heart. I'm leading from my core. And I just see that continuing with the future generations that we're all serving as photographers.
I have so loved having you on the podcast today. And I think like just sort of in summary to all of this is that influence isn't just about being heard. It's about what your words and your actions build after you speak, the way they make people feel. Anyone can create noise, but not everyone can create culture. And we want people to trust us with their business, their investments, and having confidence in us. So thank you so much, Kat, for sharing all of your wisdom, your Auntie Kat.
Auntie Kat. Hope you all had your headphones in.
Yeah, Auntie Kat. I don't think we cursed that many times.
I behaved pretty well, okay? But if we had a cocktail before this, it'd be different. But
I know, yeah, no, seriously. There's been a few podcasts that Zach and I have recorded with a martini in hand, and those always give me a good chuckle to listen back on. But especially in the way of, usually they're the ones on business topics where I think us entrepreneurs are like, cheers to that. Yep.
Yeah, right.
So, but thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and just talking so much about the culture and the legacy that we leave behind as business owners. And just really quick, tell everyone where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram, Kat Deline. You'll see me in my cute little orange suit. You can find me there.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you
we're
again, Kat,
excited. Thank you.
for joining me. And everybody go give Kat a follow and say hi.
Thanks, guys. Come see me. Thanks, Brittany. I appreciate you. This has been so fun. And I hope there's, even if there's just one lady out there that moves forward with a little bit more confidence in your business, because you're doing great. You're exactly where you're supposed to be, and you are exactly who you are meant to be, and the world's supposed to see it. So please go show it.
Yes, lean into that. Okay, we'll talk soon, guys. Bye.